Well, first of all, thank you all for coming. Please find the chairs. But be relaxed, that's not going to be the seat for you whole day. We're going to have a very fun, busy day, so please take a seat. Wow, well done, all of you. I think you all deserve applause for making all the way through all this constructions happening outside. So well done, all of you, for being here. I think it's a very good sign that nothing can actually stop you, then you are true cybersecurity warriors. I'm Kay Chachawa. I'm going to be, apart from being a moderator, where you would see me in agenda, I'll help today moderating the whole sessions, how we proceed through the day. Let me give you a few very technical household calls before we proceed with opening and amazing 5 sessions that are planned for you today. Basically, we ask each and every one of you to feel like this is the opportunity day for you to meet new people, to have the networking opportunities, share your knowledge. And this is not going to be the classical format where only one side who is going to be seated in front are going to talk. This is the opportunity for each of you to ask the questions, and please make sure that you do. Today we're going to have 5 sessions. Apart from the 5 sessions, we ensured for you that there's going to be an X amount of coffee. So anytime you need a coffee, you actually can go downstairs through that door, and it's going to be served. But we have appointed 2 coffee breaks. We're going to have a lunch today, as well as in the end of the day, of course, chin-chin for successfully end of the day. So a small reception for all of you to actually continue discussing the ideas, thoughts, and continue meeting new people. So I'm happy again to see the full room. Again, it's absolutely a great pleasure to be here today with all of you. And I really want to encourage all of you to, again, meet people next to you, meet people who you have not talked before, and ensure that you're going to have at least few new friends when you leave from here on your LinkedIn, Facebook, and new followers. Again, please feel free to share the photos, your thoughts on social media today, using the hashtags, the Cybersecurity Tbilisi conference. And again, I truly hope it's going to be an amazing day, and you're going to truly feel that it was worth it. So now I took all the time to make sure that everybody who wanted to be seated, you got the seats. And now, of course, I want to start with inviting the representative of the host. So let me introduce you, Professor Archil Kanchaveli, the Vice-Rector of SANGU. Archil.
Thank you. Hello, dear friends, guests, partners. We are proud to host the first Tbilisi International Cybersecurity Conference here at SANGU in partnership with Northern Kentucky University. We welcome you and thank you for you are here today. And as you know, cybersecurity is one of the challenges and opportunities of our time. That's why it's our top priority. Together with NKU, we already have successfully implemented a dual degree master program in cybersecurity. And I am sure dear Professor Kevin will talk more about it in more details. Together we hope to create amazing platform for discussion, learning and networking. I wish you a very fruitful day for you and successful conference. Thank you once again and welcome. Now, I'm honored to give floor our great friend and partner, Professor Kevin Kirby, Dean of the College of Informatics at NKU. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Archil. It is wonderful to be here. It is a privilege to be back in this wonderful country of Georgia and the city of Tbilisi and this amazing partner university, SANGU. This morning, it's been extraordinary. And for SANGU to put together this first international conference is truly momentous. So I do have I guess very, very brief remarks. You'll forgive me for staring down at my iPad, but it's an important occasion. One reason this week is so important is the day after tomorrow. We are celebrating the graduation of the first 2 cohorts of our joint cybersecurity program in KU and SANGU. I see so many students out there. I see faces I've seen here in Tbilisi. I see faces I've seen here 5,000 miles away in northern Kentucky, and it is a joy to be here. Now, one way to celebrate a graduation is to throw a party, and of course there should be parties this week. Another way to celebrate a graduation is to have a serious event, right, that brings experts and great minds together around the hard problem, which today is cybersecurity, that touches everything together. So that's kind of what we're doing today. So I think we're having this giant conference. And I guess I want to say, I've talked about my feeling of honor at being here, but I think all of you in the room, I mean, you're looking at, number one, the first Tbilisi conference. So 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, you will be known as the people who were at the very first one. When this becomes a huge conference that needs a giant conference hall downtown in Tbilisi, as this grows and grows. So being here for the launch is a very, very important thing. So I think we all should be proud to be here at its birth. Now, since cybersecurity is a weighty topic, I feel like I should say a little bit more in depth than that. This is what welcoming remarks often do. And of course, when you talk about cybersecurity, which contains the word security, I mean, we are in a complicated and challenging world environment that is changing minute by minute. And as you know, in a world that is often unstable or threatening, technology can be both a sword and a shield. So I was trying to work into a reference. Some of you know that line etched into the UN building, a quote from the Bible about turning swords into plowshares, which I believe is gutani in Georgian. And so there are 3 different aspects, I think, to cybersecurity. We talk about the sword, the shield, but there is also the plow, something that nourishes us and creates rich culture. So the human world is very fragile. The technological world is even more fragile, a world built on software, which is inherently insecure. And you all are here to sort of help save us. So it's a great responsibility on us humans. And to create a world that relies on trust when trust is scarce. So that is really why we're here today. And it takes good minds, and not just the technologists, not just the engineers, but the creative types, the innovators, people from all walks of life need to come together around this theme. And I think that is really something that the SANGU program within KU has actually emphasized. And we'd love to see that expand. So we need the creatives, the inventors, the teachers, the philosophers, all together. All together on this. So with that thought, I want to thank our SANGU friends for taking on the hard work of organizing this conference, in particular Mr. Luca Bergelia for doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. And of course, thanks to many of our dual cybersecurity students out there for participating in the program. So again, welcome, thank you, and let's enjoy the day ahead.
Well, thank you, Kate. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So, hello, can you hear me well? So my name is Marius Truta, and I'm the school director of the School of Computing and Analytics at Northern Kentucky University. It's a pleasure to be here in Tbilisi the second time. I was here last year, and we had a wonderful time, and this year it's even better with the addition of the conference as well as of the graduation ceremony, which happens in 2 days. I hope this sound is okay. I hear a little bit of a noise.
Well, you were the first, so sorry
Yes.
about that. It's going to take a few seconds.
Okay. So it's my pleasure to be here as part of the first panel of this conference. And this panel is public sector and cybersecurity. And as I said, it's the first panel at the inaugural Tbilisi International Cybersecurity Conference. I will start by thanking the organizer for the hard work they put into organizing this conference, the first at the SANGU, and for giving me the opportunity to be the first moderator for this panel. And secondly, I also want to thank them for the topic they choose, because recognizing the role that the government institutions and public sector have in shaping the cybersecurity in a country and the resilience of cybersecurity landscape in that country is definitely very important. As we all know, cyber threats become more and more advanced and widespread. As Dean Kirby just mentioned, you can see them as attacks and defense, and there is always this tension between when should we attack, as you know, maybe our enemies, and how much should we defend. And there is always this arms race in cybersecurity that exists in many other domains. And of course, right now we can see it more and more. As you all know, very recently, governments were involved in various acts of cybersecurity, cyber threats, and I just give you some examples which are very recent. Interference in various elections were directed by governments. Defense against those inferences is also led by public sector and governments. And then, of course, in addition to that, a role of a government is in particular to enforce a policy. And now there are many policies related to cybersecurity, to privacy, to economic stability due to cybersecurity threats, policies regarding digital transformation, as well as public trust. And due to all of this, the role of the government expanded from very little thought about cybersecurity maybe 20, 30 years ago to having cybersecurity as one of the main components of every government, of every public institution, not only in Georgia, but in the entire world. So right now, the role of every government would be to shape the national cybersecurity strategy, to protect the critical infrastructure, because as we all know, everything is online, everybody can access every network, and then to manage any incidents, how we respond to those incidents, and of course to promote cybersecurity awareness to everybody. Because as we all know, sometimes the weakest link in cybersecurity are humans, and we need to make sure everybody is aware of the threats that exist when they open a document, when they navigate to a website, and so forth. So today's session explores how public institutions are rising to those challenges and how they can drive the cybersecurity agenda forward. I would like to begin by presenting a very short view of those three speakers that I'm happy that they join us here, and then they will all have a chance to present their own remarks. So I have their short bio right here, and I will start with Mr. Dimitri Gugunava. So, Mr. Gugunava, he is Deputy Chairman at the Digital Governance Agency of Georgia. He plays the leading role in shaping Georgia's digital policy and public sector cybersecurity infrastructure. With extensive experience in digital transformation and governance innovation, he is instrumental in driving cross-agency collaboration and modernizing state digital services. So welcome, Mr. Gugunava. Let's give a round of applause. Yes, second, I will introduce everybody and then you'll talk. Second will be Giorgi Ghibradze. He is the head of the IT Project Management and Quality Control Department at the Digital Governance Agency of the Ministry of Justice of Georgia. He brings over 25 years of experience in national security, crisis management, and government coordination, having previously served as deputy head of the Office of the National Security Council of Georgia and director of the National Crisis Management Center. Mr. Ghibradze holds a master's degree in cybersecurity from Northern Kentucky University and St. Andrews Georgian University. So welcome. And last but not least is Mr. David Sakhvadze. He's the head of unit of Security, Defense, and Cybersecurity Department at the Office of the National Security Council of Georgia. David Sakhvadze has worked for years for the Georgian governmental agencies, including the Office of State Minister for Reconciliation, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Georgian Embassy in Iran. For the last 6 years, he worked for the Office of the National Security Council of Georgia, earlier as a senior advisor, director of department, and currently as a head of unit. David Sakhvadze holds degrees in physics, international relations, cybersecurity from the Georgian and US University. He also attended the Global Strategy Program at the UK Royal College of Defense Studies. So welcome, Mr. Sakhvadze. So we will continue with short remarks by each of the speakers, and we start with Mr. Dimitri Gugunava. Following that, we will have a series of questions. I have some prepared questions, and then, of course, we'll open to questions from the audience. So, Mr. Gugunava, if you would like to start.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the organizers of this event for inviting us. I'm representing Digital Governance Agency today. I know that I'm limited in time, so I have 5-7 minutes maximum. As far as we are having the title of the panel quite broad, a lot can be spoken under this title. We decided to split the topic in 3 parts. So my presentation will be more generic, just my personal point of view, what is the role of public administration in ensuring cybersecurity, and what's the role of cybersecurity in the process of public administration, and then my colleagues will go into deeper details. Yesterday, when I was preparing for this meeting, I just searched for the latest statistics of related to cyber, and even though I check it regularly, I was surprised that the numbers are increasing so fast that if you compare the statistics of 2025 to 2024, it's significantly higher in many ways. For example, just several numbers. The total cost of cybercrime worldwide is more than 10 trillion USD. Each person owes average 3.6 internet-connected device. The gap of cybersecurity professionals worldwide is more than 5 million, which is a huge number, and so on. So these numbers tell a story. These are not only the numbers. These numbers tell a story about many things. And yesterday, when I was preparing for this speech, I decided to split my speech into 2 parts. The first, what's the role of public administration and public institutions in general to ensure the cybersecurity as the integral part of the national security. And at the same time, what's the portion of cyber in the process of digital transformation. And there is also one big question that during the welcome speech, our colleague mentioned, and I'm so happy that he said that not only the sword and not only the shield, there is something more in cyber. And as far as we are in the university named after St. Andrew, we may also quote from the Bible from the Psalms, that the only idea of being a human is to praise the Lord. And how we praise the Lord? Just taking care of each other, taking care of each other's rights, taking care of, to translate this into the modern times. Cybersecurity is not just for protecting networks and data and devices. There is also a purpose for that. The purpose is to safeguard the human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. That's my personal opinion, but I hope not only mine. And cyber has very important meaning in the digital transformation. As already mentioned, the only way to ensure the digital transformation, to ensure that we reach the goals that I mentioned, is to create the society which continues living in digital while trusting the devices they are using, while using services from public administrations, while using the devices to connect to each other or to public administration and so forth. So building the trust is the fundamental of the digital transformation, and I won't go in too much details in that. Our agency is responsible for digital transformation of the government, not the society in general, but still the trust is a core topic here. And when we are talking about the trust services, for example, qualified electronic signatures, electronic documents, or public services delivered through my.gov or other portals, the trust is essential. We do have a good experience and we do have a bad experience when people dedicate to one topic, building the systems, but then there is a one issue, there is a one incident, and then you will need months and years to rebuild the trust. So unless the security as a topic is not the integral part of the transformation of digital transformation itself, integral part of application development, integral part of the communication with the society, it's all in vain. It's all in vain, and it won't lead us to safeguarding human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. As for the cybersecurity as the integral part of the national security, there are several roles that I want to emphasize here that the public administrations do have, and one of the first is to collaborate with the private sector. As far as private sector develops most of the services and creates most of the devices that we are using on a daily basis, as far as the private sector owns the workforce in cybersecurity domain, as far as private sector also serves and also affects in both positive and negative ways human rights, democracy, and the rule of law, one of the first obligations, and I wouldn't say that years before, I would say the legislation, the strategy, the workforce, the education, awareness raising, and so on. But number one obligation for public administrations today is to collaborate with the private organizations to achieve those goals, because it's much easier and it has much more potential to achieve these goals if we collaborate with the private sector. After we and in collaboration, I mean collaboration on every layer. In the layer of strategic planning, in the layer of creating legislation, in the layer of creating qualification frameworks, for example, based on ENISA, or creating the new law on information security based on the NIS2 directive and so forth. So all these are just technical details. Public administrations, in my opinion, must understand that they are very limited in resources, in both human resources and in financial resources. And the only way to achieve those goals that I mentioned is to collaborate with the private organizations. As far as my colleagues are going to talk more about what DGA is doing in cyber, in both in the process of digital transformation and in the process of ensuring the national security. And Mr. David is also going to talk about the specific things like what's the legislation of Georgia does look like, what's the strategy framework look like, and so on. I will just go through very briefly and very quickly what are the topics that the government in Georgia is working on and what government of Georgia is not working on today in cyber. We have had 3 national cybersecurity strategies, and now we are lacking the next one. So currently Georgia doesn't have national cybersecurity strategy due to different reasons. Second, Georgia's legislation is based on the previous EU directives, but not the modern ones, not the NIS2 directive, for example, but we are in the process of amending it and bringing it closer to the EU legislation. And I do hope that you also agree that EU approximation is not only about single law, it's about the system, the legal system, the judiciary system, which ensures the fair and transparent enforcement of this law. Not only the formal documents that you have published on the National Herald of Georgia, but the whole system itself, which ensures the transparency and many other values that should be in place, technical neutrality and so on. In terms of incident response, government of Georgia is working hard on both prevention and on the operational side, on the reaction of an incident handling. For example, we have just a few months ago adopted the ordinance of the government on incident classification and incident sharing, and all core stakeholders in cyber responsible for cyber are exchanging information about cyber security incidents. And also we are now working on qualification framework following the ENISA 12 role qualification framework. On the strategy level, we have adopted national cybersecurity awareness raising strategy, which is not very common in many countries, maybe in the countries of our foreign guests, not having that kind of policy document, but Georgia decided to have a strategic approach to that. So to summarize what I wanted to say here is that not only the resources, not only both the financial, the human resources, not only the documentations, not only the technologies, including the hardware and software and licenses and so on and so forth, all is in vain if we, as a government, in collaboration with the private organizations in the private sector, and in private I don't only mean the business, I also mean the academia, for sure, because academia is in some cases is owned by the state and in some cases owned by the private organizations, must agree on the core topics, that cyber is a must for a purpose, and the purpose is to safeguard that values that we've been safeguarding for ages already, even before the first time the word cyber was set, to safeguard the human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. By the way, in September last year, Georgia signed the Council of Europe Convention on Artificial Intelligence and Human Rights and Democracy and the Rule of Law, and that convention also will become soon, I hope, part of Georgian legislation after we adopt it. And that legislation also will lead us to many new goals and new objectives. God bless Georgia and God bless the world. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Gugunava. So let's move on to our second speaker. Okay, second speaker is Mr. Sakhvadze. He would have his remarks right now. Hopefully after the mic will start working. David, the floor is yours.
Thank you. My gratitude to organizers, first of all, and our guests who traveled that much distance to attend this conference. And thanks to my previous speaker. He's very eloquent, and I'm not that much skilled, so I will use some notes. Okay, I will spend a couple of minutes talking about so-called cybersecurity architecture, or part of governmental regulations related to cybersecurity landscape in Georgia. So how it is regulated or is seen from governmental side. So first of all, legal basis. We, and Mr. Dimitri already mentioned, we have law on information security that was adopted in 2012. It's pretty much a long time ago. And it is regularly updated, so last update and amendment took place in 2023. But still, we who are almost daily engaged in any activities related to this law, we see that it really needs a real good refreshment. So maybe it's we'll be needing some new law, as was law on personal data protection. The new law was adopted, and my friends and colleagues will talk about it. So it was totally shuffled. So what this does, this law does significant. So it defines categories of critical information infrastructures. So basically, it says that among governmental or private assets, there are some parts of information infrastructures that are critical for the state. And it defines like 3 categories or tiers. First category, in first category there are governmental agencies like Ministry of Defense or Ministry of Internal Affairs, etc. Second categories are internet and mobile cell connection provider companies. And third categories, there are private companies like banks or insurance or electric grid or transportation, etc. And there is a standalone category of defense infrastructure. So all this like defense-related networks. Interesting is that it defines also relevant overseeing agencies. So we have 3 big agencies who are responsible for different categories. We have representatives from one of agencies here, digital governance agencies that's operating under the Ministry of Justice. We also have Cybersecurity Bureau under the Ministry of Defense, and we have operative technical agencies that operates under the Security Service of Georgia. And all these 3 agencies are pretty much capable technically, and they provide supervision and technical support, and they issue some regulatory documents related to this first, second, third category and defense infrastructure of critical information systems. Aside to this law on information security, we have in a criminal code of Georgia. It's interesting that there are definitions of cybercrime and cyberterrorism. That's an interesting point. And adjacent to laws, there are some law on protection of personal data that's very close to EU GDPR, and we have law on electronic communications, and we have a bunch of sub-laws, like laws that defines a list of subjects of this critical infrastructure. It's a governmental decree that sets a list of which organizations are considered as a critical information infrastructure parts, and they have additional responsibilities to have specific, to achieve some specific level of protection and to have specific staffers. And we have a rule of classification of computer incidents. This is also a governmental decree that basically provides threshold of what to consider as a cyber attack. So to differentiate from cyber incidents. So not all cyber incidents are cyber attacks. And we have also decrees of DGA, OT, and CSP on minimal requirements for information security, etc., etc. So this is a legal basis. We have also strategies. So Dimitri also mentioned that we had until recently national level strategy for cybersecurity for 2021-2024 that has expired just recently. And we are in the process in collectively with relevant agencies of drafting new strategy for coming years. But still it's not in the place that happens, and I hope that it will be adopted this year as well. Okay, so in addition to that, I mentioned this is a national level strategy, so on the governmental level, but there are also agency level strategies. For example, Ministry of Defense has its own cybersecurity strategy. It's agency level. What about agencies that are engaged in all this complex system of national cybersecurity. One of them is Office of NSC that I representing, and until recently the functions of my agency was to coordinate drafting of national cybersecurity strategy and monitoring its implementation. But just a few days ago, government initiated amendments on the law that regulates our activity. It's called the Law on Planning and Coordination of National Security Policy, and government intends to abolish this office, allocating all the relevant functions to other governmental agencies. So apparently, drafting of new strategy will take place in different form, but this as a function and need will still stay. We have, as I mentioned, operative technical agencies that oversees first and second categories, digital governance agency oversees third category, and in some cases, Central Bank of Georgia is cooperating with DGA related to financial institutions, cybersecurity aspects. And we have Cybersecurity Bureau in Ministry of Defense, and we have Cybercrime Division in Ministry of Internal Affairs, and some parts of cyber diplomacy are led by Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Georgia. Aside of that, we have already some educational capacities. Aside of this brilliant program in MA, joint program of SANGU and NKU that provides master degree. There is also Caucasus University with New Jersey City University that provides BA degree program, and DGA provides through their training center certification program for information security officers and auditors, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Just one more minute. So on level of international cooperations, Georgia is signatory for Bucharest Convention on Cybercrime, and our Ministry of Internal Affairs and Prosecutor Office is actively cooperation with partners. We have a specific cybersecurity initiative in cooperation with NATO. It's called SNGP, or Substantial NATO-Georgia Package. And Georgian agencies cooperate with other international partners like US-Lithuania, Regional Cybersecurity Center, like it's called RCTC, or US Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, et cetera, et cetera. So to summarize, what we can see here in Georgia, we have pretty much well-developed legislative basis for cybersecurity. We have well-developed governmental agencies, even 3 of them, who are fully capable, though they may need some additional resources as any agency does need. We have good cooperation with international partners on education level or state-to-state cooperation level. And clearly, Georgia is not simply on the first or beginning level. We are already developed in this direction to have cybersecurity structure, though, as you are well aware, cybersecurity is highly volatile and changing field. So no matter how good you were yesterday, if you do not adapt, you will be failing tomorrow. So we clearly need to adapt all this artificial intelligence stuff and all this cooperation and coming close to European Union and NIS2 directive. So we clearly do need to make effort to go to those directions. And I think we have already some impressive capacities on human resource level, on legal level, on cooperation channels level, and I have optimistic views on having, like, in next 5 years, what the state of cybersecurity in Georgia might be. So with that, I think I use my 5 minutes and I transfer my microphone to my colleagues.
Let's thank the speaker. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Ghibradze. And now let's move on to our last speaker, Giorgi Ghibradze. So if you can have your remarks.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to organizers of this very good event and all the effort they've put to gather us here and to discuss very important topics. I do remember some 15 years ago when we had the first attempt, let's say, to consolidate our cybersecurity effort in this country, creating first cybersecurity strategy, which was very much minimalistic because we had less awareness, less capacity for sure, but we knew that we should start to move in this direction. And taking into consideration how much has already been done in this direction, I think we are in a very good progress. However, it is never enough because the dimension is developing very rapidly, and there is obligation, let's say, from the public sector to somehow follow the challenges and be as much effective as possible. So public sector security is not just a technical issue. It more and more became the issue of national security and citizen trust, and because of that we are moving in different directions to let's say build our capacity and be, let's say, more effective. And first of all, it's institutional readiness, and as my colleagues already mentioned, there are several frameworks to for cooperation and for coordination of our efforts. And as DGA, Digital Governance Agency, we have developed a 24/7 Cyber Incident Response Center to ensure the timely response mechanism. And according to the last years, we are responding more on over 200 cyber incidents per year, and but this number is continuously growing, and which means that we permanently need to increase our capacity as well. So the second most important thing is proactive risk management, and there are a lot of effort put in this direction as well. So we conduct regular vulnerability assessments and penetration testing, and this is kind of increasing number as well. So last year it was around 150 critical systems. We conducted the penetration testing and vulnerability assessment. And the third and let's say one of the most important parts is human resource development, because as it was mentioned, cybersecurity starts from, let's say, single user and ends with the high qualified experts. However, the lack of qualified personnel is one of the, let's say, the biggest challenges in this direction. As my colleagues mentioned, there are several opportunities in this country to prepare the experts in this direction, and I want to once again underline and say thank you to SANGU and NKU for providing such a beautiful chance for many students to get master's degree on cybersecurity. As an agency, we are providing training annually for the cybersecurity personnel as well. As David mentioned, it's not only the information security personnel, it's cybersecurity personnel as well. So we are conducting cybersecurity awareness trainings, more advanced trainings as well, and Annually, we are, let's say, there is a chance for 500 persons to get these trainings. As we are advancing in digital transformation, the cybersecurity threats are becoming the more important part of this direction, and we are, as I mentioned, permanently working to increase our capacity. However, there is no chance to deal with the cyber threats without engagement of the public sector. And in this regard, Georgia Cyber Public-Private Partnership was launched in 2022, and Mr. Dimitri was one of the, let's say, founders of this idea and promoters of this framework. And we are trying to engage as many private sector representatives in this framework to provide more knowledge, more capacity in terms of providing public private partnership. So we are trying to implement the new say technologies like AI in our SOC operations, and our SOC operates 24/7 for sure, and provides probably not enough to provide the full security of the public sector, but a lot of good and prevention things to protect our systems. And again, the capacity building of the personnel is one of the directions we are trying to develop, and cooperation in this regard with the public sector is very, very much important as well. So just to let our colleagues to have a questions, I'll finish with that, and let's let the rest of the audience.
Let's thanks Mr. Ghibradze. Thank you. So, very, very interesting discussion, and no, I have a list of prepared questions, but I will go off the script because while listening to your remarks, I have some questions. So the first question will be for all of you, but maybe Giorgi, you have hinted more in your presentation to this. You mentioned there are 200 incidents, I believe, last year that the agency that you are working on responded. Can you be more specific and detail maybe a couple of more serious threats that existed and how they were handled? Did they create any issue for the government or for the general public?
Okay, 2,000.
2,000.
If it's 200, we would be very happy, but it's more than 2,000. There are different things that we are doing to prevent those cyber incidents for sure. There was several major attempts, and the most important one is to, let's say, get the data from the public services that we are responsible to handle and to protect for sure. I'm not let's say, engaged in our cybersecurity operations very much. However, as it was not, let's say, widely spreaded amongst the press and media, it means that we managed to handle it somehow and to avoid the serious cyber, let's say, leakages or things like that.
Yes, so thank you. So that's a good sign that there is no any major repercussions. So you were able to isolate them early on. And leading on the same notes, considering the amount of work and the amount of stress that still exists, you did mention, and I believe most of you mentioned about the need of more educated cybersecurity specialists at the operational level, because at the end they are the, you know, the soldiers on this field of cyber war and cybersecurity threats. Here we have a lot of recent cybersecurity graduates. So do you envision new hirings or maybe new opportunities to work on the government side of cybersecurity in the recent future? And if yes, how do you advise those students that are here in the room to approach you or to apply for those potential positions?
Sure. One of the, let's say, opportunities to fulfill the gaps that we have in qualified personnel is to provide to them more educational capacity. And again, this is the great chance for everyone who wants to develop themselves in cybersecurity. Me, as a, let's say, the first person who was connected from SANGU, and we had a lot of discussions before the program started itself. I personally have recommended a lot of students who, part of them already graduated this program, part of them still on the program, and a lot of them are in the public sector already. I mean, first of all, we try to develop the existing capacity by providing to our personnel the opportunity to increase their academic knowledge of the things they were doing in everyday business, and almost 80% of our personnel is SANGU graduated. So, but there is permanent turnover of the personnel, unfortunately, because public sector pays much more than we can pay at the public sector. So to fulfill this turnover, we are for sure announcing the vacancies in our institution, and it goes through the public hiring procedures for sure, but there is already a room of opportunity for everyone to apply, and for sure the more, let's say, academic background they have, it's an advantage for the people who want to apply to our service.
Thank you, and I know some of those people are here in the room, and congratulations for not having any incident, any major incident. So must be that education that you received maybe was helpful for you. So congratulations to all of you. So and this is a question for all of you, and you know, 5 years from now, where do you see cybersecurity in Georgia, and do you see threats increasing, and what are the government's, you know, plans to develop in the next 5 years?
Okay, I'll start then. So, in my opinion, cybersecurity is fully dependent on many other environmental issues. Some of those are called global politics. Some of those are called internal issues. Some of those are called the cyber awareness of the population of Georgia. So I think if anyone insists on knowing where cyber will go in 5 years from now, I don't think that they have quite a lot of arguments for that. For sure, that the technology is heading to is that more and more processes will be automated. And as you mentioned, the cybersecurity people as the soldiers, as in conventional wars that we are witnessing these days, unfortunately. The soldiers, the human beings as the soldiers, have already been replaced by the machines, and the people who were soldiers before are now the engineers, are now the experts of building new weapons, new shields, and so on. And for sure, in cyber, people will change their roles. So as far as we are now having actual individuals taking care of incident handling, maybe a few times from now, these people will be transformed to the engineers who will manage the applications responsible for incident handling, responsible for building safeguards and so on. So some roles will be for sure changed.
So you envision that AI will make a lot of change, maybe, because that's what probably you're hinting to.
That's what they are saying, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Any other comments on this question?
Thank you, and forgive me for my boring presentation. It was official text, so sorry for that. My part of presentation was not much cheerful. Now, coming to where we see ourselves in 5 years from now, it's like looks like more of a job interview. So where you see yourself in 5 years' time, nobody knows. But we do see some trends. So looking back to a couple of years, AI was just a toy in labs. So everyone was talking, yeah, there is some AI, but what will be the results now? It's some cool things. Right now, it's tens of billions of dollars of business. Just think about it. So to accumulate tens of billions of dollars, it took generations. A century ago, it took starting from grandfather up until the grandsons. Right now, in a couple of years, some individuals, smart, some geeks, were able to create a whole new sector of great, absolutely enormous business that is demanded in everything. It's not just oil or something. It's penetrates everything. And I suspect that this trend will continue. So right now we are talking about tens of billions, and in years we'll be talking about trillions of dollars. Second point is that, and this was mentioned by Dimitri, so he mentioned that annual damage from cybercrime or cybersecurity related issues is around $10 trillion. Just think about these numbers. So would it be a country? It would be third GDP in the world after US and China. So cybercrime and cyber damage is equivalent to the GDP of China. So whatever China creates, cybercrime it destroys. And I think that as much as digitalization of our economies and our lives increases, the threat from cybercrime or cyber-related incidents will also increase. So right now the threat is to your bank accounts or your private data, but as it will become penetrate more healthcare, it will penetrate more education, it will penetrate many other things. The threats will come close to you in many other ways, and for that we need all these soldiers or engineers or military or cyber officers, cyber colonels, whatever they are. And interconnectedness. So my opinion is that present internet is will be increasingly growing up. So all these Starlinks and additional technologies that will cover each and every corner of country, and 5Gs and 6Gs will enable you to do things that are unimaginable a couple of years ago. So our life will be more digitalized. This will lead to more cyber threats. This will lead to more maybe governmental regulations, depending on what country or what part of the world you are. So I think what we need to do, and my colleagues and all the students what need to do, and I'm a big fan of AI, and I almost daily watch all these YouTube videos. Big guys from big tech are talking about future of AIs, and I think that more or less proper advice is what you're gonna do in 5 years, and me and everyone, is just embrace AI. So it's no way to just expect that your life will stay the way that it is today. We need to go deeply, we need to learn it, we need to adopt it in different parts of our personal or business processes. And I think it's only the one way to get successful. And I didn't mention some other technologies, so like what's called that, additional types of computing. It's quantum computing and cyber engineering, like bioengineering, etc. So it's a huge field, and I think we are witnessing that the beginning of new and interesting world, and just enjoy it.
Well, thank you. So I believe we have only about a couple of minutes left at most, so if there is any question from the room, if anybody has, and I believe we'll take just one question because of the lack of time.
First of all, thank you for your interesting discussion. I want to mention a Nordic countries example. If you try to find locals information, for example, in Sweden, you can find any resident salary, their address, their history, what they did. And this information is completely public. Do you think it's safe, and how it can be useful for government? And question was about future plans, and do you think it can be part of your future plans? And I have one more small question. Do you use citizens' information? Do you analyze this information and make strategic decisions based on this? Do you use machine learning to define what might happen in future in Georgia after 5 years or 10 years? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, I don't think everything is public about citizens in Sweden, but maybe most things. But yeah.
I would not claim that I'm a biggest expert on this field, but what I know is that we have a brilliant expert on private data, and he will talk about personal data protection in Georgia. Me personally, I think that definitely your data is unavoidably would be public, but there should be some limits, so it can be, especially if you're a public person, like engaged in public activities, it's unavoidable. But when it comes to your family, your kids, your healthcare, I think that there should be some cap on it, of releasing this information from public databases. On use of public opinions and for strategy, I think Mr. Dimitri can talk more about it, because DGA is a leading agency in public awareness raising.
If I may, very quickly, about the first part of your question, about as far as some data about the citizens are public, right? So you mean the registry of immovable property or the voters registry and so on? And sellers?
Oh.
Salaries?
No, that's...
Okay. So very, my answer will be very generic, but I hope some privacy professionals are also here. So this is the issue of privacy, and one of the basic principles that we must keep in mind and we must follow is that privacy doesn't equal to confidentiality. Privacy means that in the democratic societies, some portion of the information may be publicly available, maybe partially available publicly, and some of those may be confidential at all. It's not about, so as far as I also mentioned that there are values on the first layer, right? So which we must safeguard using these cyber principles and privacy principles and so on. So what is the idea of making these registries public? So there are some values that are protected by making these databases public. So there is a right of the potential buyer of the property to trust the government, to ask the government who is the real owner of the property. Because once someone claims that he is the owner of the property and delivers some certification or the documentation, it's up to you to either trust the document or check it with the government. So it will prolong the process, it will raise the cost of the transactions, the economical transactions, and that's the idea of having that registry public. And there are similar or same kind of arguments for each and every database. So sometimes transparency is the value that is protected, sometimes the cost of the transactions is the value protected, and so on. As for the policy planning, unfortunately, we are not having the practice of machine learning usage in the process of policy planning, and the reason for that is the small amount of the data generated by the public administrations. And in the document that was just adopted a few months ago by the government of Georgia called Digital Governance Strategy of Georgia, one of the core ideas there is to support the governmental agencies to generate more and more data in the process of public administration, to use that data to later plan the policy and build the strategies on that.
So thank you very much. Thank you to all speakers for this session. And thank you again to the organizers. So this concludes our first panel for the conference.